Members, good morning. Welcome to the meeting. Agenda item 1, information papers issued since the last meeting. Since the last meeting, the Secretariat has not issued any information paper. Agenda item 2, items for discussion at the next meeting. The next regular meeting will be held at 10:45 a.m. on the 21st of July this year. The administration suggests discussing the following 2 items. 1, supporting non-governmental organizations operating subvented welfare services to optimize resources. And 2, overview of medical and dental benefits for civil service eligible persons. Now, I'd like to consult members whether you have any views on the above suggested items. If not, we will discuss the 2 items mentioned above in the next meeting. Agenda item 3, Leadership and Talent Development Program for Civil Servants. I'll have the clerk to invite the government representatives to join us first.
好，咁要求發言嘅議員
Members who would like to speak, please press the request to speak button. Let's wait for the secretary to come in.
好啦，咁我哋已經有4位議員喎。
4 members have asked to speak, well, including myself, 5. We have Dr. Frankie An, Mr. Benson Luke, Mr. Ronick Chen, Mr. Chao Xiu Chung, Mr. Lai Tong Kwok, and Ms. Doreen Kong. In total, 6 members now. Secretary, when you're ready, please walk us through the paper. Thank you, Madam Chair. The civil service is the backbone of the SAR government. They show the major responsibilities in our government's governance. Through diversified training, the CSB trains up the future civil service to nurture high-caliber governance talents so that we can respond to people's needs. Currently, for major training programs, we have training within the government as well as training organized with other institutions. We have rolled out the training program, that is the Governance Talents Development Program suggested in the policy address last year. In terms of training within the government, we hold a series of flagship leadership development programs. These programs are designed in light of the roles and core competencies of leaders at different levels to help participants enhance their personal leadership skills. We have experience sharing, site visits, and case studies under these programs to enhance trainees' skills. The Civil Service College has incorporated IT elements into these training programs to equip our civil servants. Also, the Civil Service College has organized a number of high-level seminars to enhance the holistic views of civil servants as well as their international perspectives. We have invited trainers from different places to host these talks to present the impact of our country as well as our role to connect the world. This is also to promote the development of Hong Kong. We've also held seminars on the spirit of the 3rd plenary session of the 20th Central Committee of the Communist Party of China. We've also held a seminar on learning the spirit of the 2 sessions. This is to enhance civil servants' understanding on the policies as well as the spirit behind the Central People's Government. We have organized since 2022 with Peking University courses, and we select 15 to 20 high-level civil servants to take part in the program so that they understand more about our country as well as the strategic visions of our country. It is also to enhance the skills in public administration. The first cohort will complete the program in July this year, and the next cohort will begin next September. The Civil Service College also arranges for civil servants with potential to attend courses held by overseas universities. In 2024, we have arranged for 29 civil servants to go to France, the UK, Germany, Switzerland, as well as Singapore to take part in courses in public administration and AI and so on. Also, we have the support of the Office of the Commissioner of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the SAR. We have a group of 17 civil servants who were recommended by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to work in the UN offices in different places. That is part of the UN Junior Professional Officer Program. And based on civil servants' needs, we arrange for our civil servants to take part in programs or attached to different offices around the world. Apart from existing development programs, the Civil Service College will roll out the Governance Talents Development Program this year. Unlike short-term or one-off development programs, this Talents Development Program is an ongoing incubator for talents. It aims at nurturing governance talents who are dedicated to serving both our country and Hong Kong. One important element of this program is to have regular dialogue sessions with the trainees so that the people who take part in the program, they can strengthen their sense of shared mission and values and help foster a cohesive leadership community within the SAR government. This program offers a range of training opportunities for participants to further enhance their competencies and broaden their perspectives. For example, they can take part in leadership development programs run by mainland and overseas institutes, high-level thematic seminars organized by the college, take part in mentorship and customized development plan and online learning. We will invite leading experts and scholars to serve as fellows under the program so that there can be in-depth exchanges between these experts and participants to broaden participants' perspectives and minds. In the coming quarter, we will ask for nomination from policy bureaus as well as departments. There will be selection interviews to ensure that only highly motivated officers with leadership potential, positive attitude, aspirations, and dedication to serving both our country and Hong Kong are selected. Moving forward, the college will remain committed to nurturing talents to help the government develop a talent pool. It will cultivate governance talents who are patriotic and love Hong Kong and are familiar with both the country's overall development and international dynamics as well as the local circumstances, so that we can give full play to the power and value of patriotism administering Hong Kong, seize Hong Kong's opportunities, and make contributions to Hong Kong. That's all for my briefing. I welcome any questions from members. Dr. Frankie An. Thank you, Madam Chair. I welcome the Governance Talents Development Program from the administration. It is going to be an ongoing program which will train and assess civil servants' level. I understand that there are currently some training programs. They are exchange programs with mainland authorities or enterprises so that civil servants can experience working in the mainland. I want to know if this kind of exchange programs are incorporated into the Governance Talents Development Program so that civil servants can experience working in the mainland. Now, more aggressively, will the Secretary consider having the first cohort of civil servants so that they can work in the Legislative Council, the District Councils, or even in large-scale enterprises in Hong Kong, so that they can develop a different mindset, so that they can understand also why LegCo members ask certain questions and why there are certain aspirations or demands from citizens in the district level. They may also work in commercial organizations so that they can have a holistic view on how they should formulate their policies. Thank you. Secretary. This Talents Development Program is an ongoing program. As mentioned just now, there will be a personalized development plan for each participant. Say if there are participants who are suitable to join civil service exchange program in the mainland, we will make such arrangement. Of course, we'll have to talk to the department about that. I believe departments will be happy to have their officers take part in these kind of exchange programs. As for whether civil servants will be given the chance to work in outside organizations or even district councillors' offices, will they be given the chance to work in statutory bodies or NGOs? Well, I won't rule out this option. However, currently we have a tight supply of manpower. We still have 10% of vacancies to be filled. When we have adequate supply of manpower, we will think about launching large-scale attachment programs, be they in the mainland or with external organizations. We will consider this option. Any other questions from Dr. An? If not, Mr. Benson Look, please. Thank you, Madam Chair. According to the paper, there are different items under the Governance Talents Development Program. I believe these items will be very helpful for the day-to-day work of civil servants. Now, paragraph 15 of the paper mentions that participants of the program will have to devote extra time and energy to taking part in the program. Also, it is mentioned in the paper that participants will not be given special treatment or priority in promotion exercises under the program. Can the administration clarify this? Does that mean civil servants, after taking part in the program, they will not get special treatment in relation to their promotion? Is this program only helping civil servants to have a better grasp of their day-to-day work? Also, according to information, the government has been spending public money. In year 2024 to 25, the amount is about $56 million for civil servants to attend courses overseas. And the civil servants will be required to stay in their post for at least 2 years after taking part in the courses. Well, for those who leave after 2 years, I think it will be a loss for the government because we have put in resources on them. That's a pity, I think, if they decide to leave. Will the government ask civil servants to stay for a longer term, say for at least 4 to 5 years after they have taken part in these courses? In case civil servants really have to leave the government, will they be asked to shoulder a part of the cost for attending these courses? Thank you. Secretary. According to the paper, participants will not be given special treatment in promotion exercises. That means civil servants who take part in this program will not be guaranteed a promotional opportunity. Apart from taking part in the program, civil servants will have to display outstanding performance in their work. If they perform poorly in their work, they will be asked to quit the program. Will this be very tough for civil servants since they will have to take part in the program and at the same time they'll have to spend extra time on participating different courses and learning programs? Well, first of all, departments will have to nominate civil servants with great potential. Also, we need certain qualities on future leaders. For example, they need to have good time management skills. They need to know how to manage their job in terms of prioritizing their duties. They need to know how to make use of resources such as manpower and technology to improve their work efficiency. Civil servants who are regarded to have great potential, they should be able to handle their work and at the same time dedicate extra time to take part in the program. There shouldn't be any impacts on their day-to-day work. Of course, the program will benefit civil servants so that there will be enhancement in terms of their personal attributes and qualities. If they have improvement in their qualities, they should be able to have a higher chance to get promoted because this program will help civil servants enhance their capabilities and broaden their perspectives. But it doesn't mean that by taking part in the program, civil servants will be guaranteed a chance to be promoted. That's my first point.
Second point, Chairman. We do review such requirements, and in fact, for those who have taken part in our overseas training programs or even local programs offered by the government, we also have professional staff or colleagues who would be given some subsidies so that they would undertake some master degree programs or professional development programs which are related to their jobs. And if they leave the government after a while, then they will also have to pay compensation to the government. We do review such arrangements from time to time, but then the number of such cases is not that high. Next, Mr. Chow Siu Chong. Well, to follow on Mr. Benson Look's question, this is Mr. Chen Ying. Well, I'd like to share some of my experience in the private sector, but then if the training cost is particularly high, then we would also have to sign an agreement that they would have to undertake or make a commitment that they would serve for a minimum period of time, and therefore, in accordance with the cost, they would also have to make certain commitments as to how long they would be prepared to stay after the completion of the course. I have 2 points to make. Well, the government does have some new programs to train up talents, and in particular leadership talents. And usually, you do have AOs or administrative officers, and you also have a particular program on training up talents. But then if you have made it so specifically that that has nothing to do with promotion, then that will also deal a blow to those who are motivated in taking such courses. So as far as commercial organizations are concerned, we would not make it clear that whether or not you'll be promoted would depend on whether or not you have taken part in such courses. And of course, we would also review your track record, and if you have taken up or taken such courses, then of course that would also be taken into account. And if you have undergone such training, then that would also tantamount to recognizing their performance in a certain area and so on. So don't make it so strict that you are not going to consider such things in any event, because that would be too strict. And also, you would also arrange for principal officials to go to the CSC to exchange views with the trainees and so on. I think that's something worth doing. But then you also talk about the very complex environment and so on and so forth. Well, just now it's been suggested that they should also come to our office to serve as interns and so on. I think that would be somewhat difficult. But then for the Executive Council members, if you can also arrange for EXCO members and LegCo members to exchange views with them, then that would also help prevent some of the mistakes that are commonly committed by civil servants in their day-to-day work. Can you consider that? Thank you, Mr. Chen, for your suggestion and comment. In fact, when we send our colleagues to attend some overseas courses or government-subsidized courses and so on, we would also consider the cost entail, and also administratively, we will also have to pay a price for that, because during their absence, we would also have to ask someone to take up their jobs, and therefore, we are very, very grateful to your suggestions. And also, if anything, if the talent development program has nothing to do with their promotion prospect and so on, then would that deal a blow to their incentives and so on? In fact, we will also have a mentor at the departments who would closely monitor the performance and development of that colleague, and also the CSC in offering this program would also exchange views with that mentor, so that we can have a personalized or custom-made development program for them. So in a moment, I'd also ask the head of the CSC to tell you more about this. As to which post he would be deployed to, well, if something can be done about it, then of course that would be the best. As to whether or not we should invite LegCo members or individual EXCO member to exchange views with that colleague, Well, that would also be possible. I would ask our colleague to explain in a moment. But then we've been doing that all along. That is, we would ask our colleagues from different levels so that they would also attend leadership programs. And in the past, we also invited lawmakers to attend those programs. For example, your predecessor, Mr. Chen, that is Mr. Tommy Cheung, who also work at the Finance Committee, and we have invited him to come and explain to us how the question and answers would go at the Finance Committee and so on. So I'll ask our colleague to explain in a moment. Yes. Well, behind this program, there is a very important design concept. That is, we would identify those who are prepared to challenge their own potential so that they would be invited to join the program. And for these people, well, in the ideal situation, well, promotion is not the motivating force for them to join such program, and therefore, we would not say that they would gain an edge in terms of promotion prospect by joining this course. But then, as you can imagine, after they have taken part in such an effective training program, then their attributes and quality would, of course, enhance. Then, of course, that would indirectly enhance their promotion prospect. And also, one of the objectives of this program is to identify people with potential to join the program. So the objective is not to help the colleague to get promoted, but then it's not just about them being the leaders in the department, because we're talking about enriching the pool of talents for our governance, and therefore they would be expected to take up the governance duty at a higher level, and therefore that would exceed a simple human resource training objective, and therefore that's what I'd like to say here. So for the individual trying to challenge himself, I think that's a very important element. And also at the exchange session, of course, what we have written down is that there would be regular sessions whereby the chief executive and his team would come and exchange views with these trainees, and of course, whether they be LegCo members or RICSCO members, they're also part of the governance team. And all of you here are leaders in the community, then naturally you would also be whom we have in mind in terms of such programs, and therefore you can just wait and see. We're going to invite you someday. Yes, Mr. Chow Siu Chong. Thank you, Madam Chair. I do welcome the government's introduction of this talent training program. I do hope that it will help the ACL government in terms of training up talents who would become the backbone for our governance team. And I also agree that this talent training program is different from the regular short-term training programs. It's also going to become a talent incubator. And if you look at the concept, the design, and so on, I think it's of very high quality indeed. But then at the same time, I've also noticed that for the administrative officer grade, the government has been designing for them a specific program so that they can undergo regular training. And in terms of the content of the program and also the standards, I think they look very similar to the talent training program. So is my understanding correct? That is for the two systems. So the government is trying to use the best resources to train up these two types of trainees. So my first question is, with regard to the positioning of these two training programs, what is the difference? How are they positioned? And also, when it comes to the training program for AOs, are we talking about two separate queues? Or is it that under the TTP, some AOs would also undergo that program, so that they would be undergoing two training programs, or what? Because, well, indeed, some media agencies are very concerned about what we are facing in the next couple of years. That is, we do have a shortage of permanent secretaries, because some of them get promoted to senior jobs So we would need to make sure that there would be a steady stream of AO supply so that we would not suffer from any manpower shortage. So I'd like to know the positioning of the two programs. And the Bureau Director also said that we would also have to identify those with potential. And in doing so, for those who are at a junior level, there would be fewer colleagues with such potential. So you talk about 40, 50 such officers. What about the distribution of their grades and ranks? So does that mean that those at a higher ranks would be more likely to be selected? And also in para 13E, you said that you would also be liaising with departmental heads so that there would also be regular communication with departmental mentors to keep track of the participants' progress and performance. So does that mean that if they are able to keep their performance, then they can get promoted, or you would have higher expectation? And para 15 also said that for the outstanding or brilliant participants, they could also continue with the program until they are promoted to higher leadership or management rank. So if a trainee is doing very well, but then by the time when they are promoted to senior level, then they would be promoted to say D2, D4, then that would take over 10 years. Does that mean that they would stay in the program throughout the time? Then what about the new trainees? So how would we view this program? So in the end, that individual would be undergoing training all the time while others might be denied the chance. So what is going to happen? Well, first of all, it's not just confined to AO grade. Individual grades would also have their own training programs for their own colleagues. Obviously, we might be talking more about the AO training program. Well, you might have the impression that only AOs can have this training. In fact, individual grades would also be looking at their own needs in offering training to their staff. So most of such training would focus on the career development of that colleague during the earlier part of their career. And in some cases, for directorate grade officers, they would also have to reach a certain level before they would undergo leadership training. And the CSC would have a holistic program, because for leadership skills, even if you're an engineer, you're an AO, you are an education officer, or other professional grades, well, some of these leadership skills would be common to all. And therefore, these colleagues would have to undergo their own leadership training program tailored for middle management or senior management colleagues. But then under this talent training program is tailored for those with potential to become leaders in a government. So they can come from the AO grade or other grades. And this program is somewhat different. There would be some commonalities because we'd like to have shared values and also the long-term perspective, and also with leadership skills, and also the comprehensive management skills and so on. Whether they be AOs or colleagues from other grades, they can always nominate colleagues to join this program. And this program would also be prepared to take on board colleagues from different grades, and of course they would also have to undergo this selection process. And also in terms of the distribution of grades and ranks, we are talking about future leaders and future governance team, and therefore these trainees would have a chance to get promoted to the management tier. So grades which have the potential to become management of the government would have the opportunity to be nominated. And for those others, they would also have other programs available for them so that they can also be promoted to the management tier. And then for departmental mentors, well, after they have joined such programs, would they be expected to perform somewhat better than other colleagues? Well, for departments, well, they would also have to be fair to all colleagues when it comes to promotion. And therefore, that's what we are trying to do. And therefore, the individual departments would set their own standards as to what they would expect of the colleagues to get promoted to a certain level. And of course, we have to be fair. But then, as both myself and the head of the CSC have said, for this talent training program is offered to those who have potential in terms of their experience and in terms of their perspectives, so that we'd like to enhance or broaden their perspective so that they would also have a better chance to perform better, and therefore they would also have better potential, and therefore we can logically expect that they would have a better chance for promotion. And then what do we mean by senior leadership level? So we're talking about a deputy director or D3 equivalent or higher. So for the details, so would the class become larger and larger? Then I'll invite the head to explain.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I can talk a little bit more about the design of the entire program. We intentionally brush off which position will our participants reach. This is because it's an ongoing incubator program. The first cohort will have 40 to 50 participants. With our existing resources, we believe we can take care of 40 to 50 participants at the same time under the program. As to when we will need more manpower or resources, we will have to look at the resources available. So there isn't a designated capacity. Say we have 40 participants now. It will not be possible for 40 participants to take part in the same item. There will be a certain group of civil servants who will attend courses overseas. There will also be another group of participants taking part in training programs in the mainland. So this is not a one-off program. On an ongoing basis, we will provide high-quality exchange and training opportunities for the participants. So members, please rest assured about the number of participants under the program. Now, in terms of promotional opportunities as well as departmental management, these are two different matters. The core of this program is about the governance. We are trying to enhance the governance of our administration. It's not about departmental management only. We have to focus on the overall governance of the administration. We need talents who adopt a high-level perspective. We want them to equip themselves so they have the capabilities to take up their responsibilities. That's what we want to achieve through the program. So there are intrinsic differences between this program as well as those training programs within certain grades. Next, Mr. Lai Tong Kwok. I've listened to the secretary as well as the head of the Civil Service College. My view is that the government wants to, through this program, build a talent pool. You will identify a group of civil servants, and you will invite them to take part in certain courses and programs so that they can accumulate all kinds of experiences. So it's not a 1 year, 2 year, or 3 year program. I have two questions. First, I understand you will invite talents to take part in different types of training courses. They will take part in these courses on a more frequent basis compared to other civil servants who will take part in programs that last for, say, 7 days. Now, with this program, how will you ensure that the invited and identified talents will have enough time to take part in the training courses? I believe not all courses will be held outside office hours. You will invite, for example, speakers to host talks from 9 a.m. to the afternoon, and this may affect the day-to-day work of the participants because they will end up having less time to deal with their work. How will you coordinate with departmental managers to ensure that these talents will be released to receive such training? Otherwise, it will be meaningless. Now, as these participants attend more and more courses, they will accumulate more and more experiences. They will become more outstanding. So how will you make use of these talents? You said just now that in terms of promotion, you'll have to consider their performances. Well, you will identify talents so that they can take part in training for at least 2 to 3 years. What kind of policies will be put in place to ensure that you can make use of these talents? For example, will you encourage them to shift to other posts? Say, if a participant is not an administrative officer, will you encourage them to take part in the relevant exams? For general grade civil servants, they are encouraged to be promoted. This is the message disseminated within the government. Since you will be training up these talents, of course you will want to make good use of them. Will there be any ways to ensure that these talents will be able to apply the knowledge they acquired after they've received the training? Secretary. I'll ask the head of CSC to supplement later on. Mr. Lai understands it correctly. It's not a 3-day or 7-day course. There will be seminars, talks, and study program, and we will invite participants to take part in them. Say, for example, the regular dialogue sessions with the governing team are only offered to participants under this program, not for other civil servants. As to how frequently the regular dialogue sessions will be held, well, it won't be very frequent. But of course, civil servants will have to spend extra time on the program compared to civil servants who take part in a 7-day course. We will ask departmental heads to nominate certain civil servants, and we have already explained to them the purpose of this talents development program. Departmental heads would like their officers to benefit from this program so that participants will become leading talents of their departments with great perspectives. So there are incentives for departmental heads to release participants to take part in the courses. Well, will it be very tough for the participants? Well, as mentioned, we ask these participants to have good time management skills. They need to make good use of the available resources. They need to be able to make good management with their work duties, and we only ask for those with such qualities to take part in the program. Say the work taken up by the participants are very challenging, and there are 1 to 2 talks that the participants will not be able to attend because they have urgent work that needs to be dealt with and completed within, say, 3 months' time. Well, we will talk to the participants themselves. After all, this is not a short-term program, it is an ongoing program. Missing 1 or 2 activities will be allowed. Now, as to how we will make use of the talents, well, talents who will benefit from these programs, they are outstanding talents. They will have a very good prospect in terms of their career development. There are secondment opportunities for civil servants currently. There are also attachment opportunities for civil servants. For example, our works department have something called Open Directorate. That means civil servants from different departments will have the chance to be promoted to department heads. There are also senior positions that have open recruitments or internal recruitments. Take, for example, the director of Hong Kong Invest, as well as the director or commissioner of innovation and technology. We have recruitment exercises for these posts. So for those who are confident that they can take up these posts, we welcome them to apply for these jobs. For participants who have taken part in the program, if they are interested in applying for different posts, we welcome them to do so. But of course, they are not forced to do so because they are most familiar with where their interests lie. Perhaps I'll ask the head of the Civil Service College to elaborate how participants will be able to spend time on the program. Well, please be brief. Under the program, we'll have department heads to serve as departmental mentors. So head of departments know that they will serve as mentors to support the participants. And head of departments will know that they have the responsibility to release their officers to take part in the program. Now, as to how we will make good use of these talents and how they will be incorporated into the human resources management system of the government, we will have greater understanding of each participant after they have joined the program. So we will have better information in terms of making decisions on which officer should be transferred to a different post. Ms. Doreen Kong, I have some personal views. Just now, the secretary as well as the head of the Civil Service College that said that civil servants will need to have their time compensated for taking part in these programs. Why I have reservation about this. These are great courses, and those who are selected to take part in these courses, they must have displayed great potential and qualities. And after they have taken part in the program, they will benefit from the program, and it's also beneficial to our society. It's actually very tough for the participants to take part in the courses because they'll have to work hard and they'll have to contribute to the courses. If you are to nurture talents, well, you shouldn't have the participants to make up for the lost hours in their work. They may have to take part in the course for an entire week. Can the secretary clarify this? How are you going to ask the participants to make up for the lost hours? Just now, the head of the Civil Service College said that the courses will be very flexible. This is because we've seen great changes in the world, and we have seen advanced and rapid development of technology. So we have to move with the times. I'm glad that you are making these courses flexible. I hope that you will roll out programs on an ongoing basis. According to the paper, some courses last for 8 days, others last for 5 or 13 days. I think you have to roll out these great courses on an ongoing basis. I hope that civil servants, after attending these 5-day or 13-day courses, they won't have to wait for a long time to take part in the talents development program. these are future talents for the government. You have to train them on an ongoing basis. Now, paragraph 9 mentions about overseas program. In year 2024, you arranged for 29 civil servants to go to different countries. Can you tell us more about what kind of overseas courses they attended and how long did the courses last? And have you assessed the effectiveness of these courses? For senior civil servants, if they are invited to attend these courses, they must be outstanding talents. Can you tell us more details about these overseas programs? We as LegCo members can help assess the effectiveness of these programs. While I personally think that 29 civil servants is not enough, I, however, understand that the cost is quite high as well. I once attended an overseas training program myself, and I paid for the program myself. There haven't been many civil servants who have been given the opportunity to attend these courses. I think you should send civil servants to these overseas programs so that they can have exchanges with the other participants. Now, paragraph 14 mentions about the fellows of the Talents Development Program. Like last year, how many fellows were engaged to help train up talents? According to my understanding, for example, recently in Shanghai, many overseas consultants have been engaged to work as fellows too.
主席。
Bureau Director. Okay, first of all, let me clarify one thing. That is, we don't ask our colleagues to work overtime after they have undergone training, because most of them would be senior officers, and therefore we are not going to calculate how many hours they have worked, but then there is a chance they may have to make up for the hours lost. For example, I can't say that this job can be passed on to another colleague while I'm away, unless they'll be away for several months. Then of course the jobs will have to be passed on to somebody else, or else they would also have to make sure that they can complete their jobs. For example, they will have to prepare a paper for a electrical panel. Then of course they would also have to do it on their own, instead of just calculating the number of hours that they have attended training. And then on overseas training for the 29 officers, first of all, I have to say that these have been arranged by the CSB, and then for individual departments or departmental staff, because of the needs of the departments or grades, then arrangements will also be made for them to undergo training. That might be for professional development, or by the time when they reach a certain rank, they would also have to undergo certain training. But then for programs arranged by the CSB, then there would be some commonalities. For example, that they would be management course. For example, there's a course in France. I couldn't remember the Chinese name. Is Sciences Po. So for political leaders in France, most overwhelming majority of them have undergone training in that institute, and then we have also arranged for colleagues to undergo training at the LSE in London. So these are renowned institutions offering training to our colleagues, and that would include public administration, international relations, artificial intelligence, leadership, and so on. So for departments that have sent their colleagues to these training programs, the number is very large. So absolutely, that would be in excess of 29, because the 29 civil servants have been arranged by the CSB to attend these programs. Well, for the other questions, I'll ask the head of the CSC to explain. Well, I can supplement. Actually, inviting overseas experts to come, well, that has been our practice for the past couple of years. I cannot just give you the names of all the experts. For example, Kisha, Moshevani, and so on, Giorgio, and also some local experts like Victor Fong. So these are well-known names. For example, we have experts from Thailand, from Malaysia, from the mainland. Many of these experts are well-known names to ordinary people. Some of these experts do come on a regular basis to check with our colleagues. Next, Mr. Lam San Kang, I think the government's paper mainly talks about the programs on leadership training, international perspective, and also innovation. Well, I agree. And some of these programs are offered to senior governance team. Because in terms of the promotion letter for civil servants, if you are singled out for undergoing such training, I would have no doubt about your professional abilities. But then what about PR skills and also understanding of Chinese history and also understanding mainland's culture and so on? All these are very important attributes because when it comes to explaining things to the public, these are the important attributes of senior officials. But then in some of the recent incidents that also show that when it comes to answering questions, some of the senior officials have not undergone sufficient training. So there is nothing too trivial that does not warrant any attention, and therefore you will also have to think about how you're going to respond to the needs of the community. And therefore, as civil servants of Hong Kong, you will also have to understand what is happening in the country, and we also have to know that in this climate of change, we would also have to understand what we are expected to do, and therefore in terms of the course design, have these elements been included? Bureau Director, thank you, Madam Chair. In fact, whether it's about our existing training programs for different tiers of civil servants, and also whether it's about the long-term program to train up governance talent for Hong Kong, whether or not, it's about how they think about, it's about their mindset and also how they would understand the needs of a community. Those are very important aspects. With regard to history and also our civil servants, their constitutional duty under our administrative structure is not about just helping Hong Kong. They would also have to make contribution to our country. This is a very important perspective that they would have to be aware of. So there are courses for our colleagues to take part, and these courses have been very effective. So under the talent training program, trainees would also be invited to consider these. But then, as I said, this is for the long term, and therefore we cannot expect that all the few dozens of the management team would be able to join such programs right away. But then we do expect that in the long run, all of them will have a chance to attend these seminars and take part in such programs to broaden their horizon, and then they would understand our country's history. So in this respect, I'd also like to invite the head to give us more details. Yes, I'll be very brief. First of all, in terms of PR skills, that's something that we attach a lot of importance to. Well, in our leadership training program, that's also a very important component. And for myself, well, the incident cited by the lawmaker just now, I'm definitely not focusing on those incidents alone. Well, as far as my experience is concerned, very often we have to deal with, and I believe that, sometimes civil servants encounter difficulties not because they have not undertaken such training. It's sometimes about the mismatch of their objectives and their culture. So they might think that I have to play safe, I have to make sure that I would not say anything wrong. So that might have been turned into their ultimate objective, and they might have forgotten the importance of communication. And therefore, what we need to do is that you will have to achieve the objective of good communication instead of hanging on to or sticking to this so-called official line when it comes to communicating to your counterparts. And therefore, you can be rest assured that that is also an important part of our training. And another point about understanding history, well, we will have another paper that will give you all the details about this. So rest assured, we'll discuss this. Okay, next, Mr. Kwok Wai Kang. Thank you, Madam Chair. This paper has set out a lot of details about how we are going to train up leaderships in our governance team, and there is also a lot of planning that has been put into it. But then my impression is that that's very much a report by the CSC. But then for the entire civil service structures, management and development, well, not much has been set out in the paper. So if you look at the figures, okay, 15 to 20 officers would be attending the course run by Peking University, and 40-50 would also undergo this leadership training program. But what about the rest? We have not been given all the details. So my first question is that on training, we have to look at the need and whether or not the training can match our needs. So in the coming year or even 3 years, how many colleagues at leadership positions will be retiring? We haven't got the figures, and therefore it's hard for us to assess for the several dozen colleagues who have been identified to undergo such training. Is it adequate? Is it enough? As some colleagues have said, cost effectiveness is a very important part of it. So a scenario could emerge. That is, if we train up too many talents, then that would that would also lead to the question of whether or not we have put the resources to good use. And if we just say train up 10 people, if there are 10 positions available, then what would they think? What is their performance? So these are the things that we need to know more about. And yet now, since we have not been given the situation, we don't know the timeline and how many people will be needed and so on and so forth. We have not been given those details. We have no idea about whether or not the number of trainees is enough and whether or not you have been putting the resources to good use and so on. So I hope that you can give us more information so that this council will be able to really monitor whether or not the training program is adequate and appropriate. Thank you. Bureau Director, thank you. Well, for this talent training program, the purpose is not about the near future. We are not talking about the next 3 to 5 years that we have to train up a group of trainees who can take over from the present leadership. What we expect to do is we are actually saving a pool of talents for the long-term future. So it's not about how many job vacancies available in the top management tier or top tier that these talents would be filling. So when departments are selecting the talents, we are talking about 40-50 trainees, as the head just said. So that would be able to deal with 40-50 colleagues, because if there are too many, we simply would not be able to cope. In particular, we want everybody to have a custom-made or a personalized training program. It doesn't mean that we will end there. We are not going to end at 40-50. In due course, we would invite departments to once again make nominations, and if at all possible, departments might think that 2 years down the road, well, other than the one that I've just nominated, well, another colleague might be suited for this, and he has great potential, and therefore can I add him in? So that would depend on the resources and the situation. And of course, these have been nominated by the departments, and of course, we want them to succeed, so that their promotion prospects or the time when they become future leaders would also be shortened. So after they have left, that can certain positions can be filled more easily. So number one is not about the fixed number of 40-50. So there are always people coming in and going out. So that's the main thrust of the idea. I'd like to see if the head has anything to add. Yes? Head of CSC. Well, once again, I'd like to come back to the point made by the Bureau Director. She's right, because this program is not targeting at the succession arrangement, because in the entire civil service system, we have already got this very well-established succession plan or system in place. So the Permanent Secretary will be chairing the coordination meetings with different departments, so there would be regular exchange as to the succession plan for individual departments. So that's the regular system in place already. So the talent development program is kind of outside of this regular arrangement. So it's for the long term, so that we'd like to enrich the talent pool. So we are targeting the leadership or management or governance level in order to train up these talents. So I think the question is about how you evaluate these trainees, because there was a question about whether or not it's a good match of need and talents. So how do we evaluate how these people are doing? So it's not about whether or not these people can fill those vacancies. So can you respond to that point? Madam Chair, well, we have only started this recently, and precisely because this is a long-term program, and it's not hard to say after a year whether or not this program has been successful. Even for ourselves, in designing this program, we will also have to talk to the fellows of the departments, and also we would also have to talk to the participants and also the governance team, so that there would be continuous interaction amongst the various stakeholders. So there might be a need for fine-tuning of the program. But then in due course, we will come back to this panel or to the council to report on the progress of this program, and where there are results, whether it's from the fellows or from the participants. If they have any feedback to us, then we will come back to report to you. Okay?
多謝翻。
Madam Chair, well, we electrical members offer our views and we read the papers provided. But as mentioned, the information provided is not enough, and it's hard for us to offer our comments. It's hard for us to offer views on a long-term plan if there isn't sufficient information. So what kind of views or comments are you looking for from us? Well, perhaps I can ask the follow-up question for you. Like Mr. Kwok said, you are telling us that you have this new program. When will you review whether you'll need extra manpower and what methods will you adopt to assess the effectiveness? You have already come up with the program, and when or how will you assess the program? Secretary, please. Well, we are launching this program this year. I think we'll need 1 hour or longer after we've launched the program to review the program. It's not that we're going to do nothing in the interim period. For each talk, we'll ask the participants to offer feedback to us, even just for a short-term program like a half-day course. We ask participants to give us their feedback. We ask them to tell us what they have learned and how they think the program can be improved. So this is an ongoing process for us. As for large-scale reviews, I think we'll need some time to conduct the review. We'll have to wait for the program to be launched for a certain time so that departmental mentors and participants will be given time to take part in the program, and at the same time, we will also need time to see whether participants made improvement through the program. Then we will see whether there needs to be adjustments to the program. We will, based on the comments received, continue to refine the program. Let's see if Mr. Kwok has anything to add. I hope members will understand this. We want our officers to have the same mindset as well as governing vision that is in line with that of our country. We want them to have this perspective It's hard for us to make use of statistics to assess whether our participants will have achieved this. We want them to equip themselves. We want them to become part of the governing team at a certain stage. We want them to be self-motivated. We want people to be able to see whether they are qualified as a talent and whether they are qualified to be appointed an important post. I think you've made some great points. You've already told us what criteria do you look at. As you said, you do not only look at hard figures. For a participant who has taken part in the training course, how will you assess whether the participant has seen greater motivation? I hope you can explain this. Now, there will be regular dialogue sessions with the chief executive as well as principal governments. We'll also have fellows who will host special training for our participants. We ask participants to write up research projects and reports. And this will give opportunities for our participants to show whether they have made improvement and whether we have achieved our goals through the training. We will collect meaningful materials like this and we will report to members in due course. Now we've come to agenda item 4, latest progress of the Civil Service College's work in enhancing training. Members who'd like to speak, please press the request to speak button. Secretary, please walk us through the paper. Thank you. Since the launch of the Civil Service College, it has continued to improve its measures and it has incorporated its vision in all kinds of training programs. It strives to strengthen the people-oriented service ethos. The Civil Service College has been making use of innovation and technology and has been promoting the implementation of digitalization of public services. It has also developed a new learning management portal and it is constructing a new CSC building. Now, on national studies, the Civil Service College seeks to enhance civil servants' mindset through interactive approach. It strives to improve the emotional impact of its courses so that civil servants can learn about the history of our country and can build a sense of identity. This is also to enhance civil servants' commitment. Newly recruits, they have to complete foundation training. Officers of degree or professional grades, they are required to take part in advanced training upon confirmation to the permanent establishment. The content of the courses cover one country, two systems, the constitution, the basic law, and the safeguarding of national security. We will incorporate the implementation of the Safeguarding National Security Ordinance as well as other contents into the training. Through a soft approach, we want the younger civil servants to learn about the constitutional responsibilities. Last year, the CSC launched the thematic study program on modern Chinese history to strengthen civil servants' understanding on our country's endeavors and evolution over the past century. The first year program was well received. Participants said the course allowed them to enhance their understanding about their country, and they have had a deeper understanding about their predecessors' contribution, and they understand better the responsibility of civil servants in contributing to our country. We will continue to launch this program. We have sent civil servants to 9 institutions on the mainland to learn about the country. Through duty visits, they explore and learn about how to serve people in a people-oriented manner. We will roll out 2 new items this year. The first is the Presenting China to the World seminar series. This series will talk about the challenges faced by our countries in economics and culture as well as technology. This will help civil servants play a better role in serving as a bridge between our country and the world. The second item is the 80th anniversary of victory in the War of Resistance thematic talks. This is to enhance civil servants' national sentiment as well as patriotism. In terms of innovation and technology, the Civil Service College continues to enhance the elements of technology application in civil servants leadership training to lead departments in applying technology. We want to make better use of big data and AI for public service innovation. The college provides foundation programs as well as online learning to introduce the development of technology and the application of technology in different scenarios so that civil servants can seize the opportunities to apply technology. Different departments will, based on their operating environments and specific needs, to arrange for training for their staff of different levels to effectively promote and implement technology applications for enhanced services. Apart from face-to-face programs, the Civil Service College strives to build a new learning management portal to enhance e-learning. The contents cover the Constitution, the Basic Law, as well as national security, the latest development of our country, the core values of civil servants, management, international perspectives, and innovation and technology. The portal will be able to work out a learning record for each civil servant. The Civil Service College can design a specific pathway for each civil servant based on their needs. The platform will be able to keep track of the learning progress of civil servants to support their needs and development. The portal will be launched in phases starting from Q3 this year for civil servants. The college will continue to promote the idea of continuous learning among civil servants. We're also speeding up the construction of the new civil service building. It will be in Kwun Tong, and this will serve as an important station for civil servants to support their learning. There will be a higher number and also more diversified facilities. There will be accommodation as well as catering facilities to support different types of training activities. There will be smart facilities in the new building. We hope that through demonstrating the use of technology, civil servants who visit the building will embrace and make good use of technology. The Kwun Tong Composite Development Project was launched in 2022 Q3. It is expected that it will be completed by 2027. Moving forward, the Civil Service College will continue to upgrade the software and hardware, and we hope that we can nurture a civil service that is patriotic and loves Hong Kong and is people-oriented. We hope our civil servants can play an active role in building Hong Kong and contributing to our country. That's all for my briefing. We welcome questions from members. Ms. Doreen Kong, please. I have 3 questions. I'm happy to see that the Civil Service College is trying to build a people-oriented service ethos. What kind of training courses are offered to civil servants so that you can build a people-oriented service culture? Secondly, on innovation and technology, I see that there is training in this regard, which is great. Application of innovation and technology has become more and more important among the civil service. Will you consider, in terms of innovation and technology, will you ask civil servants to take certain exams regarding the application of big data and AI? It's not enough just for civil servants to attend courses. Will you come up with exams and assessments in this regard? Thirdly, civil service colleges in other places offer free courses. They also offer paid programs. A few days ago, Mrs. Regina Ip asked an oral question about language training. In some places, you can pay a relatively cheap price for such a program. Would you consider rolling out paid programs? Secretary. Now, on the point about people-oriented service culture, I'll ask the head of CSC to supplement. Now, on the application of innovation and technology, I'd like to talk about the positioning of the Civil Service College as well as the division of labor. Targeting certain grades and ranks, there are innovation and technology courses so that civil servants can acquire the relevant skills. The relevant departments, they offer such training themselves. As for the Civil Service College, it mainly targets leading officers or those in the middle and middle and senior ranks. It thinks about how officers can boost their work efficiency and accuracy through technology. It strives to teach civil servants to make use of technology to make better judgment. For example, technology can be applied in officer training and in terms of making better use of resources. That's the main goal.
考核
And then for specific skills that have to be evaluated, then it would be for the department or the grade themselves to determine whether or not they would have to reach a certain stage before they can proceed to the next stage and so on. And therefore, evaluation might be necessary. And in terms of cost, well, for programs offered by the CSC, they would be free for civil servants undergoing the training. But then where there is a need to procure outside courses, for example, if we need to send colleagues to some higher institutions overseas or on the mainland, then we will have to pay for the tuition fee. And let's say if there are languages that our colleagues would need to study, which are not readily available in the CSC, then they would also have to make use of certain resources in order to undergo such language training. So I'll invite the head of the CSC to explain the details. Well, for people orientation, to make it clear, well, I'm afraid I cannot complete it in 2 minutes, but then I also need to explain this further. So we have adopted this framework of mindset inculcation. So it's about how you think about things, and there needs to be a change in the mindset. That's the reason, that's how we go about the people orientation training. Because in any event, that's about how you think about what you need to do. So for any knowledge-based information, that would also become part of the mindset inculcation training. So it doesn't really matter what kind of setting you're in, or what kind of training you're undergoing, or what kind of environment you're in. For example, we once did this. That is so we had certain exemplary cases of a colleague performing in a certain setting. So we would invite the person involved to share his mindset as to why he thought so and how he went about that job. So it's not about evaluating somebody's performance on a particular case. So it's about how he thought about the situation and how he thought that he would be able to help the community. So it's about setting your mind in the right place. So in the course of such exchange, and when we require colleagues to write their feedback on a course, so they would also have to show us how they were impressed and why. And therefore, the most effective way is to invite our lawmakers to see if you can also observe some of our classes. Then you would be able to find out exactly how we go about this. Okay, Benson Look. Thank you, Madam Chair. I can see that the CSC has explained to us that there are various training programs, and one of them is, I think, the main trend that is about artificial intelligence, and that would also help us improve our work efficiency. And in paragraph 15 of the paper, it says that the CSC would also offer AI courses so that leaders in the civil service can also learn about how AI can be used in different settings. Well, AI would be used in doing clerical jobs and also image processing and so on. But then, other than the senior civil servants, even at middle to junior civil servants, they could also make use of artificial intelligence to improve their work efficiency in their clerical work. So, can we make sure that different grades and ranks of civil servants will be able to get such training in the use of AI? And secondly, on AI, inevitably, we will also have to talk about the 20 focus areas in national security of our country. And therefore, other than using AI in different settings, do we also have a training on using AI safely? This is also important. Thirdly, the CSC has also made reference to their counterparts elsewhere. For example, Singapore. Well, in Singapore, they have to be financially self-sufficient, and they are also a public body, and therefore there is a chance that civil servants will also have to pay for certain courses when they take up such courses. And in Hong Kong, we do need some of these training programs to be offered to civil servants. So do you have plans to work with some of the public sector organizations so that public sector colleagues might also have a chance to take part in such programs? Well, I'll invite the head to supplement. I'll just highlight a few points. Well, of course, in the use of AI and INT, of course, the CSC will mainly be focusing on senior management staff, so that they can think about how AI can help with their day-to-day work. That would also help them coordinate the work of the department, and also introduce reforms to the department and so on. But then we can also make use of learning resources to introduce the latest trends in INT, and also in what settings can they be used and so on. And there are also e-resources available to colleagues who are interested. So I'll ask the head to explain. And also on security issue. That's also part and parcel of our overall AI and IT training. As to public sector colleagues, yes, to a certain extent, we have made available such training courses to them as well. For example, for serving middle to senior ranking officials. So we are not talking about the leadership training or governance talent training. Well, for the middle to senior ranking officials, there is a chance that we would also be sending our colleagues to attend these training programs, and civil servants might also have a chance to attend those training as well. So for the rest, I'll defer to the head. Yes, let me explain a bit further on IT training and what our objective is. What I said, we would be looking at the leadership responsibilities. In terms of resources available, and also they would also have to build up a system of the use of IT, and also through work processes management. Well, all colleagues would be invited to undergo such training, and also looking at the professional needs of individual grades. Departments will also have to arrange for IT training for their staff. So the CSC as a centralized training institute is not possible for us to arrange training programs for over 100,000 civil servants. That's not effective use of resources, and therefore we would have to be more target focused, and therefore we're talking about colleagues above MPS 40 and so on, so that different IT training programs would be offered to them. But then the idea of offering technical training to all staff, that is also available through e-learning resources. For example, we have the seminars and also video clips and so on, and also digital transformation, and also the use of AI, technical developments and use cases sharing and so on, so that colleagues from different ranks and grades would also be able to make use of such e-learning platform to undergo training. What about national security? Well, in terms of data security, we have rolled out a seminar on national security leaders series. So in the area of what might constitute national security risks, we would make sure that leaders would also have high alert about this. And one of the areas covered would also be on IT. Next, Mr. Chen Jianying, I have 3 questions. Well, para 8 talk about the study of contemporary Chinese history. So it talks about how we can have a better understanding of the contemporary history of China. I can understand this. They would also have to provide feedback after the course. They would also have to write learning reports and so on. But then what about how they view such programs? Well, is it an anonymous survey, or is it a survey with the real identity of the participants? So that would also affect what they write down, and therefore you will have to consider whether or not it should be an anonymous feedback. And other than asking them for their feedback, you can also ask the departments as to whether or not the participants have benefited from the programs at all. And last year you said that after a while you would see how that can be done, and now a year has elapsed. So have you collected the feedback from the management of the departments? And para 12 also talk about the on-site teaching on the mainland. I think that would be better from e-learning and also other forms of learning. But then, of course, it's more costly. So for the on-site teaching, how much, what's the portion of cost on your total cost? So for the on-site teaching, given the tight resources that we have, would that have any impact on the number of on-site courses that you can run? And thirdly, I think the head also made a correct point that it's not possible to put in a lot of resources to train up everybody in the civil service on the use of IT. But then for the IT in charge of individual departments, will there be some on-site evaluation so that you can ask questions? You can also have more exchange with them so that they will be able to make better use of the skills or the information that they have acquired through such learning. So it would be more selective. So only those who are responsible for the use of IT would undergo such training. So would you consider that? Thank you, Bureau Director. In terms of contemporary history courses, I'll invite the head of the CSC to explain how we collect the feedback. On-site teaching, in fact, para 12 talks about certain programs. It's not that we are sending people to those places to undertake on-site training. In fact, we are talking about the 9 national studies programs at the mainland institutions. Of course, those are paid programs, and these programs are ongoing programs, and there would also be this element of on-site teaching. And then for IT use, the head can also share more details. In fact, I've brought with me a lot of information, but then I'm afraid you don't have enough time for me to give you all the details. Yes, please be precise and concise, then. You will have to be somewhat selective. Well, I think contemporary history, I think we wrote that out in September last year, and by May this year, we have completed the first training program, and the effect has been very good. Well, just now, a lawmaker asked how we did the evaluation. Yes, we had both anonymous feedback and also reported feedback. So right after the program, we would ask the participants to give us their feedback. And first, we asked them to do a pre-course and a post-course evaluation. We'd like to find out whether or not there has been a change in terms of their understanding and also their mindset and so on. And after the 5 units have been completed, we would also require them to write a learning report. And of course, we would have to know their identity. So for the pre-course and post-course evaluation, well, the rating increased from 78% to 97% after the completion of the program. It shows that the sense of identity would also be enhanced from 78 to 97%. Well, even if there might have been some exaggeration, well, there has been a change by 20% or so, and therefore that would also be very significant. And also whether or not that would also fit the work, well, that also increased from 55% to 90% after the completion of the course. As to understanding of contemporary history of China, that also went up from 27% to 84% after the course. So that's about the course. And also after, according to the post-course questionnaire, well, we also asked them to analyze certain keywords, key terms. So, for certain terms, well, that increased from 50 times to 270 times, and also for a sense of identity, for example, self-pride and so on. So that increased from 40 times in the first unit. It went up to 170 times after the fifth class, and also for the sense of commitment and so on. Well, it went up from 10 times to over 90 times by the time when they completed the fifth unit. And also, there are also many terms, and if you give them a mark, they would not feature, because they can also choose not to write that down in the report. For example, I would be more passionate about my country, and also another would say that I would no longer rely solely on external information or opinions. Instead, I would also rely on my own analysis and reading in order to build my own understanding. I would also take the initiative to find out what happened in recent history, and I would also point out that under the British rule, we would not develop this sense of identity, and I've also restored my initial intention of serving my country, and my passion for my country has also been ignited. And also, I would also like to change the younger generation of civil servants so that they would understand our history better, and then they would also embrace the passion for our country, and they would also have they would also share with their family members as to the history of China, and then they would also seize the opportunity here in Hong Kong better. And I would also look at my work from historical perspective. I would also link my personal development and my country's needs, so that I would be serving as a screw in the restoration process. And also, learning this is not just about learning history, it's also a baptism in my spirit, and therefore I would be telling a good China story in both my work and life, and I would also serve the community, and I would make use of my professional skills to ensure that I would be able to make contribution to Hong Kong and our country's development.
If you want me to stop, I'll stop here. Well, there are rules for each meeting. We have already overrun, so I ask you to be brief and succinct. If Mr. Ronick Chen does not have further questions, Mr. Stephen Ho, please. I recognize the functions served by the Civil Service College. In the past, we did not have enough education for our civil servants. So I agree that the Civil Service College works on civil servants' values as well as their skills. There are trainings in these two respects. It's hard for us to gauge the effectiveness of the training, however. Well, you mentioned about affection for our country. Well, but sometimes the more you talk about this, there might be a counterproductive effect. I think the head of the college should think about whether it is necessary for civil servants to always talk or write about their affection for our country. However, I do agree that civil servants have had a deeper understanding of our country, and they have had more positive views about our country. I think this is a good trend. There's a part about innovation and technology in the government's paper. I'm concerned whether civil servants are applying what they have learned. I see that some departments of the government are still using the old mindset. For example, the DAB looked at the issue about air passenger tax, and the administration is still asking visitors to fill out paper forms. So this is just an example. I think the CSB as well as the CSC has to assess and review whether civil servants have learned what they need. And this is how we assess whether the training provided is value for money. Now, about new recruits to the government. This year marks the 5th anniversary of the implementation of NSL. 26,000 some civil servants have completed the relevant training. We have 170,000 civil servants. How many civil servants have actually completed the foundation training last year or the year before? I noticed that some civil servants had not completed the relevant training. They only read the national security law themselves. Apart from the new recruits among the 170,000 civil servants, how many of them have completed the training? How many of them are still waiting to attend the training? 3 questions, please. Secretary. Now, on civil servants' values, we attach importance to the effectiveness of the training. If we do not ask for feedback, it looks like we aren't doing anything. If we are asking for feedback, we try to do anonymous surveys, and by reading the review, we find the training emotionally impactful. We have consulted the advisory committee members. We have asked them to take part in the training themselves, and they all find the training very valuable. Apart from the training programs on modern Chinese history, we have other types of training programs. Perhaps we'll ask members of this panel to take part in the program so that they can give us feedback. Well, I will also want to learn myself. Now, as to whether civil servants have been applying what they have learned in terms of innovation and technology, we see that over the past 2 to 3 years, we have seen revolutionary changes in INT. Our officers have attended relevant training programs, and to respond to Mr. Ronick Chan's question, there are sharing sessions among head of departments. We have meetings among head of departments, and they have shared their views. My personal view is that we have all learned from the training program, and We are all dedicated to applying technology in our work. However, we need resources as well as plans in order to do so. This cannot be achieved overnight. I'm not quite familiar with the operation of the Civil Aviation Department as well as the Airport Authority in relation to the example raised by Mr. Stephen Ho just now. I believe there needs to be connectivity between each workflow. I also understand that it takes time to apply technology. I know that overseas as well as in the private sector, there has been rapid application of technology, and we've been offering training to our civil servants in this regard. Now, we have 170,000 civil servants, and we have been offering training concerning national security to the junior staff first. We ask all civil servants as well as officers from all departments to visit the National Security Exhibition Gallery by the end of 2026. Even the most junior officers, including technicians as well as skilled workers, they have to visit the gallery. Also, we encourage government departments, staff unions, and relevant associations to visit Ongshan Chao. There is an exhibition center about the Liberation Army. I see Dr. Starry Lee here. We took on board her views about launching this visit. For those who do not have a deep understanding about the provisions of the national security law, the visits to the gallery is very helpful because they can have a basic idea of the national security law. So we've been implementing training at all levels. Let's see if the head of CSC has anything to add. Mr. Kwok? Members may still recall that apart from the visits mentioned by the Secretary just now, last year we rolled out an internal training that has to be participated by all civil servants. There's a video that needs to be watched by all civil servants. Whenever we find the opportunity, we want to roll out training that covers all civil servants. That's what I want to say. Next, Mr. Chao Shiu-chung. I have a few questions. The Civil Service College in year 2023 to 24 conducted a restructuring, and it launched a research and development center, and back then there was a permanent repost created at D1 to man the research center. Now, in the previous meeting, Dr. Frankie An asked whether the center will carry out studies on employment-friendly measures as well as civil servants' productivity. The Secretary last time said this will be covered under their research scope. I hope there will be relevant studies on the policies. Now, my question is this. The Research and Development Center has been established for some 2 years now. Has any research been done on policies at the district level, and have the relevant research outcomes been passed on to the Chief Executive Policy Unit? Also, has the CE Policy Unit asked the Research and Development Center to carry out certain studies? Also, in June 2023, the Civil Service College said that there would be a personalized training framework for each civil servant. However, back then, because of limited manpower, it was impossible for the college to come up with a personalized plan for each civil servant. However, according to paragraph 10 of the paper, it seems like the college is able to achieve this now. I understand that there will be a CPD program for each civil servant. So how many hours, for example, will civil servants have to attend in terms of training programs? Also, civil servants need to take part in national studies, and the Secretary was asked whether authorized absence would be given to civil servants to attend these national studies courses. However, I was told by some members of the staff union that they will lose the allowance if they get authorized absence to attend national studies courses for over 3 days. Will flexible arrangement be put in place to give more motivation to civil servants to attend national studies programs? This kind of national studies programs are similar to those organized by the CSB. They are hosted by the National Academy of Governance or Tsinghua University, so they are high-quality programs.
Bureau Director. These questions have to do with our research and also is about the personalized training framework and so on. So I'll defer to the head to give you more details. With regard to national studies, if it exceeds 3 days, can they keep the double up allowance? Well, if they leave their job for more than 3 days, then during their absence, the allowance would be suspended for the period. That would apply to all civil servants. So whether or not it's because of sick leave or whether or not they're undergoing overseas training or for other reasons, they would also have to suspend their allowance or acting allowance. Then, of course, well, they would not be eligible for that if special arrangements have to be made. Well, if they are absent for work for a very short period of time, at most, that would not be more than 5 days. So, if my recollection serves me right, we have to make sure that we deal with everybody on equal footing, and therefore, I would have to go back and check. Well, about the research center, whether or not that should be set up. Well, let me clarify. Back in 2023, after we fought for more resources, we were granted the resources to set up that research center. So that's under construction. I remember during my first year, the resources were given to us so that there would be 4 years of development. Number one, we had to build the new accommodation for the CSC, and research center would also become very much part of it. And then in the second year, we had not been able to get new resources because there were some changes in terms of our fiscal position, and therefore we would also need to reset our priorities. So for the research center, its establishment and also the allocation or deployment of staff would also be affected. Well, this year, we hope that would be able to get back to the operating phase, but then that would very much depend on whether or not we can get extra resources to do that. But then for what is needed to be done, we have already been doing that. For example, we have already started the planning, and we would very much like to see if we can start with some case studies, because that would also support the training or the teaching work that we undertake. And also for all bureaus, they can also make reference to such case studies as to policies research. I'm not going to comment on it because in the future, we will have to wait until after the research institute is in full operation, and then it will also have to coordinate with the CE's policy unit before we can finalize on the mode of operation. And then on personalized training framework, starting from March this year, we have this learning management portal. And well, in the last 2 weeks, we already started the testing phase, and then by September, we are going to roll that out comprehensively to all civil servants. That will also provide support to this professional training program. So it's very much like the CPD. Well, as to the number of hours to be included, well, we are not going to fix it for the time being, but then there would also be this credit system. So once we are able to comprehensively roll that out, then we would require civil servants to, say, complete certain training suitable for his grade and rank before we can say that he has already reached the training objective for that particular year. Next, Mr. So Chang-Wing. Thank you, Madam Chair. I think the government has an established and mature civil service training mechanism in place, and that's because the Civil Service Bureau has always attached importance to enhancing the abilities of civil servants. And today's discussion item, as it reads, is about CSC's work in enhancing training. And the paper talks about mindset inculcation is the core of such training. And just now, in the Bureau Director's introduction, she talked about various training programs, and she also said that there would be this learning management portal and so on. So many of these have to do with our passion for our country and also our constitution, the basic law. So you have emphasized these areas, and I'm all for it. And of course, I fully understand that mindset inculcation and developing great passion for our country would also be very important to the individuals undertaking his duties. But then these civil servants have the responsibilities of governance in our government, and therefore for those in professional grades, they would also have to resolve problems, and therefore their professional skills would also be very important. And therefore, well, the subject under discussion today is civil service training, and it covers a very broad area. And what's emphasized in the paper is something that I do agree with. But then in designing your training programs, have you taken care of the professional skills and capabilities that their jobs might require? For example, in their professional jobs, they will have to be able to deal with the specific issues that they have to cover. And you will also have to make sure that they are able to communicate and coordinate within the department and with the communities that they serve. So I think those would also be very important and should have become part and parcel of the civil service training program. So it's about improvement of their problem-solving ability, communication skills, and so on. Well, for the professional skills, we're talking about their professional knowledge. And for example, as an engineer, they would also have to have a very good knowledge about engineering. And then for accountants, they would also have to know their jobs well. So on enrollment or at recruitment, they would also have to be tested, and there would also be performance appraisals and so on. And then for problem-solving skills, when they face the public, they will also have to have the ability to answer questions from the community, and therefore they would also have to look at the issues from the public's perspective. So those would be higher skills required of them, and that would also be part of the leadership skills, and also is also very much a part of public governance. And therefore, under the leadership training program or public administration training programs, actually these would be the elements that we target. So I'll defer to the head to explain what we've been doing in these areas. Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm grateful to the member for giving me the opportunity to explain how we undertake such training. It's about a mindset inculcation. Well, as I said, it's not really the core of our training. But then, as I explained, in terms of professional skills, knowledge, and skills, we have infiltrated this mindset inculcation as part of such training, so that would motivate our colleagues, and that would also be deep-rooted in their mindset. So you talk about problem-solving skills and so on. Well, these are issues that are part and parcel of our training, and therefore we'll have to make sure that they would cover all of these in their training. So in these units, we have added the element of mindset inculcation. So how would you interpret that? So just imagine we have the machine with all the components there. But then as to how we coordinate everything, that's very much the mindset. So that's the driving force behind all these. So it's about your own motivation, your own objective, and also whether or not you have a holistic view of everything. So just now the member asked me about this. You don't have to worry about this. You can rest assured that we would have this included in all our courses. Well, actually, the best way to find out the result of such tests, of such training, and whether or not we have also done this mindset inculcation, I would invite all of you to come and observe our classes, and then you see for yourselves as to how we conduct our courses. In fact, there was this course on contemporary Chinese history. We issued the invitation, but then probably members are very busy, and therefore you have not been able to come and attend. But then this is a revolving course, and therefore you can come next time. Yes, you will have to issue or send out the invitation to our secretariat. I can see that some of us have not received that invitation. Ms. Starry Lee. Thank you. I'm sure both the Bureau Director and the Civil Service, the CSB, have been doing a remarkable job. In fact, I've received the invitation, but then I have not been able to attend because of my busy schedule. I hope that I would be able to go one day. Well, in fact, according to my understanding, Hong Kong civil service training, when compared to our mainland counterparts, there is a lot of room for improvement. Because in the past, we very much adopt this skill-oriented approach, and very often we would only be looking at the job requirements. And my understanding is that most civil servants would learn in the course of their work. So that would be very much on the job training, but then understanding the ideas behind would be very rare. And therefore, I hope that with the establishment of a CSC, and also with the introduction of technology, that would also help our civil servants in enhancing their skills, because there is a rising aspiration of the community for the civil servants. But then time is limited, and training would have to cover many areas, and the number of participants would also be very large. And then I understand that the CSC has invited different bureaus and departments to undertake their own training. There is a lot of room, or a lot of holes to be filled. But I'm glad that you have accepted my suggestion that everybody will have to go and visit the National Security Exhibition. And in fact, during the National Security Week, I think that exhibition is very comprehensive, and therefore you should roll that out comprehensively. And there are also courses on national identity training and also patriotism training. Those are very important experiences, and therefore making use of the museums to enable civil servants to feel for themselves the importance of our country's development and enhancing so that their awareness can be enhanced. I understand that for the 80th anniversary of the victory of the War of Assistance would also be a very important model. In fact, Hong Kong has been well placed to study such historical incidents, and therefore, wherever possible, we should enable civil servants to understand better, so that would also enhance their awareness and increase their sense of identity. But of course, whether or not the department can release them to these exhibitions would very much depend on the resources. With limited resources, I understand that there are a lot of constraints, and some trade unions have also told us that they would very much like to see more flexibility in terms of vacation arrangement, and we have to be pragmatic. If you have too many leave days, then that would also affect the operation of the departments. Well, for field studies, would that be possible? It should not be a rigid arrangement. But then if colleagues have been very positive, you can also add score to the performance. They can also bring their family members along, because well, actually that wouldn't take long, because we have the Wu Kao Tang memorial plaque. That would also be a very important landmark for the resistance war and so on. So I think that's a very important record in their performance, and that would also not affect their work very seriously. So I hope that you would also take that into account. Another point that I've taken up with the bureau director before is that I remember, well, my company basically would require all colleagues to undergo some training. Well, they would set a fixed number of hours. But then I think the world is changing very rapidly, and therefore, well, for different grades and ranks of civil servants, would that also be required?
長會議
The meeting is supposed to end at 12:45 p.m. I will extend the meeting by 15 minutes now. Secretary, please. Thank you. On enhancing civil servants' sense of identity, well, we have been inviting the Civil Service Union to be our working partner. We encourage the union to give more flexibility to civil servants. For example, they can invite family members of civil servants to attend activities and events. Take the 60th anniversary of the supply of Dongjiang water as an example. We are now encouraging the Civil Service Union to take part in certain events. We encourage them to go to Shenzhen on the mainland. They can go there to learn about how Dongjiang water is supplied to Hong Kong. And we have been lining up the Civil Servants Union for this event so that it can enhance the sense of national identity of civil servants. So we will consider organizing such visits or encourage unions to do so. We want to adopt soft approach as well. For example, last year, in the 70th anniversary of the founding of the PRC, to celebrate that, there were events organized by the Civil Service Bureau. There was a Putonghua contest, as well as a Chinese history and Chinese culture contest. And some difficult questions were asked in the contest, and a lot of Chinese history elements were incorporated in the contest. And after the deadline for people to sign up for the contest, we announced some of the questions asked, and the media were very interested in the questions raised, and they helped analyze the questions and disseminate information about Chinese history to the public. So these are emotionally impactful events, and we try to adopt such a soft approach to enhance civil servants' sense of national identity. We want civil servants to get first-hand experience. Now on CPD, continuous professional development, we will build a new learning management portal. And this is because we want to encourage continuous learning. In the past, there was the online platform as well. Through this new portal, however, we will ask each civil servant or officers of different grades and ranks to complete certain courses within a year. Like the head of CSC said, civil servants will be asked to gain credits. Say in the 10th month, certain credits are still not acquired. We'll have the management to talk to the relevant civil servants. So we will impose a credit requirement on civil servants. Civil servants will be able to gain credits through attending different courses. This is the idea we have in mind now. We have already developed the portal, and by Q3 this year, this portal will be able to be used by all civil servants. Does that mean after Q3 this year, after the launch of the portal, every civil servant will be asked to attend a certain number of hours of courses? After the launch of the portal, we will talk to civil servants of different grades and ranks to impose the credit requirement. Head of CSE, you mentioned about the different modules just now. Yes, you talked about CPD. Yes, correct. In August and September, we will launch the learning management portal. Afterwards, we will look at people's reactions as well as the participation rate. So we will spend some time on this. On the other hand, based on people's usage, we will assess how we should better allocate the resources. We've been in talks with the Digital Policy Office in this regard. Most of the resources on the learning platform are in the form of videos. They require viewership. And these are sensitive resources, so we have to look at how we should disseminate or allocate the resources. This is not mentioned in the paper, but our plan is that by the 1st of January next year, we'll be able to finalize the implementation. We hope that after civil servants have gotten used to the new platform, we can have this platform cover all kinds of generic training programs. And we will make this a CPD. There will be mandatory or compulsory courses, and there are also elective courses. This will enable civil servants to gain credits, and civil servants can, based on their needs and training pathways, take these courses. Mr. Chao Xiu-chung, 4 minutes, including questions and answers, please. I have a simple question on CPD. I know that a lot of frontline civil servants are concerned about this. They want to know that after the launch of the portal, what will the requirements be for civil servants of different grades and ranks? They want to know how many hours they have to attend for the courses. You said that the portal will be launched in September this year, right? But just now you failed or fell short to give out a clear message to civil servants. When will you announce the concrete plans? Will you consult civil servants on the plan so that they can have an idea of how long a training they'll have to attend for civil servants of different grades and ranks. When will you disclose the relevant details? Head of CSC? This is a major measure, so we will conduct consultation as appropriate. We will consult the civil service unions. So please rest assured that there will be a consultation. Well, we're now in June, and you will launch this in September. We'll talk to the civil service unions in July or August. Will you disclose the relevant details to LegCo members? Secretary, in August we will roll out the portal. As mentioned by the head of CSC, we need all kinds of supporting measures. We have training resources like videos, and we need to have major technical support in order to roll out the videos. And to answer Dr. Starry Lee's question, it's not that all civil servants of different grades and ranks will be asked to gain the credits after the launch of the portal in August. We will talk to individual departments, and based on different grades and ranks, we will come up with the credit requirements, and we will announce the relevant details in due course. Please rest assured that these courses will be helpful for civil servants' day-to-day work. Also, we will communicate with individual departments about this. Civil servants will not have to spend a lot of extra time to attend these courses. Thirdly, most of the learning resources are available online. We will start from middle to senior ranking officials. And middle to senior ranking officers have been quite used to attending these online courses. So there won't be a sudden change or a sudden requirement imposed on civil servants. Please rest assured that we will communicate with individual departments about this. All right, we have concluded this item. Any other business? If not, meeting adjourned. Thank you.